Hello, here are the top 10 PlayStation levels as chosen by you. We've added up the likes of each level you suggested in order to determine just what is the greatest PS1 level of all time. Who's that? Up first is the first level in Alien Trilogy, Entrance. This was suggested by James Walsh, who says, "It exhibited everything the game was great at: authentic sound design, tremendous music, and a sense of dread facing off against classic enemies in the xenomorphs and the facehuggers." James also does something I used to do, saying, "I used to pop the disc into my CD player and listen to the soundtrack." In 9th place we have Slippery Climb from Crash Bandicoot. This was suggested by Michael Ferguson, who says, "One of the later levels in a game and one of the few with only one checkpoint, was an absolute pain to finish without dying." He continues, "Super challenging at 9 years old, but so much fun. Great memories." Next up is Cemetery Hill from Medieval. This was suggested by Jacob Edwards, who says, "The one where you have to make it to the top of the hill with all the boulders coming down in your path." He continues, "That hill seems so much bigger as a kid, but when you play it as an adult, it's really not that difficult to make it to the top." Bandland from Rayman is in 7th place. This was suggested by Valentin, who says, "I like a lot this musical and cloudy environment. Enemies are great and Mr. Sax is a memorable opponent." Matthew Smith replied, "I never managed to beat Bandland as a kid, but what a level it was. Great soundtrack." In 6th place is the first level from Siphon Filter, It's Georgia Street. This was suggested by Liam Kinder, who says, "Defusing the bombs in the subway station is a great introduction into one of the best gaming series." He continues, "Plus most people forgetting to let go of the taser the first time they used it, resulting in many flames." We're with you on that one, Liam. Next up in 5th place we have a level with no enemies and no objectives, yet it's made the list, and you can probably guess why. It's Lara's Home from Tomb Raider 2. This was suggested by Christian Snowden, who says, "Locking the butler in the fridge, finding the secret rooms. I probably played that more than the main story." In 4th place is the warehouse level from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. This was suggested by Robert Huddleston, who says, "We all spent hours there. It was glorious. It will always be glorious." To which Gavin Shepherd said, "This is number 1. However, there are still 3 levels left to go." In 3rd place is a level from Tomb Raider 2 that actually has objectives and enemies. It's Venice. This was suggested by Luke Reese, who says, "Great puzzles and escaping on the boat at the end was such a rush." Stan Lucas says, "The whole puzzle with the boat and the bombs and the last minute bailout. Stone cold classic." And Paul is quite enthusiastic, saying, "Yes, yes, yes to Venice. The music, the colours, the pixelated water." In 2nd place we have the Midwich Elementary School from Silent Hill. This was suggested by Ben Irvine, who wrote, "The moment the siren goes off and it gets darker and you can hear the radio as the monsters get closer, the atmosphere." Vine also said, "The terror and overall creepiness that makes Silent Hill one of the best survival horror games ever." Before we get to number 1, here are some levels that narrowly missed out. And so, what level have you decided is the best PlayStation level of all time? It is in fact the opening of Metal Gear Solid, the cargo dock and the elevator. Bo Besant says, "When Snake emerges from the water, goes up the elevator and enters the base via an air vent. At that time, that sequence, and the whole game actually, was a quantum leap in terms of movie atmosphere in games." Even Basil says, "I felt like Kurt Russell infiltrating whatever Kurt Russell infiltrates, with a 90s action movie vibe. It was badass." And James replied, "I spent about 2 months playing it continuously on the demo disc that came with the official PlayStation magazine before the game was released." I'm with you there, James. That was the best demo ever. Did you agree with the outcome? Let us know in the comments, and thanks for watching.
Behind D. Colonel, what's a Russian gunship doing here?
For more videos like this, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell to make sure you don't miss any videos in the future. Cheers!